Today's video is sponsored by More Than Gourmet, faithfully honoring the classic tradition of amazing, authentic French soups, stocks, and sauce foundations. No shortcuts and no compromises. Now let's get into it. I'm Chef Brian, and today I'll be making a pan-seared breast of chicken with a Carolina Hoppin' John dirty risotto and a bourbon pan sauce, garnished with a cornbread tuile and fresh sweet corn. This is a really good dish. The pan sauce is unctuous and full of flavor, the risotto is nicely spiced and creamy, and the chicken is tender on the inside with a beautifully crispy skin on the outside. Now, the first step in any chicken recipe is to choose your chicken. I've chosen free-range chicken for my recipe because it just tastes more chickeny. It really is just a much better product, and words don't do any justice to it at all. Feel free to use boneless skin on breasts for your plate if you don't want to butcher your own or if you're making it in bulk. You'll just be missing the other pieces later for your pan sauce, but we can make it work without. For now, use a sharp knife and separate your chicken into wing tips, wings, leg and thigh quarters, and breasts. I've placed all but the breasts in a reserve bowl on the side, and I suggest that you do the same. The leg quarters I've used later for a sous vide fried chicken recipe, but that's another video. The breasts I placed on a foil wrapped sheet tray that I'll move to the fridge while I work on the next steps. And what kind of chef would I be if I didn't tell you to hang on to the carcass to make a great stock? Next, we'll gather the ingredients for our compound butter, starting with 1 pound of unsalted butter, softened overnight. And we're going to whip that until it just doubles in volume. To that, we'll add 2 tablespoons of our lemon bone broth concentrate, making sure not to spill any in front of your stand mixer. We'll slowly drizzle that in until it's completely mixed. Then, 1 clove of finely minced garlic, 1 teaspoon of crushed red pepper, and finally, 1/2 cup of roughly chopped parsley. Make sure you don't use any of the stems because they'll make this butter bitter, and nobody likes bitter butter. We'll let this continue to whip for about 5 minutes or until everything is fully incorporated. What we wind up with is this kind of pale white and perfectly fluffy butter. Now we're going to take a rubber spatula and flop the butter out into the center of a piece of parchment paper and carefully roll it like a burrito, using our fingers to make a good seal and then pulling it back towards us to create a nice even roll. You have to do this several times to get it just right. You want to make sure there aren't any big air gaps in this and then carefully roll the whole thing up. Grab a piece of plastic wrap that's about 8 inches longer than your roll on both sides and then wrap it like a Tootsie Roll, pulling it nice and tight. We'll let this live in the fridge for about 6 hours or until it's nice and firm. When we slice this, we're going to want to use a sharp knife and slice into nice even medallions. And then we can get our vacuum sealer bags ready for the next step. Whenever I make bags, I always double seal them. I've had soggy poached chicken way too many times, so please make sure you check your seals. Into each bag goes up to 2 of our fresh chicken breasts. We don't want any more than that because we want them to retain their shape throughout the cooking process. On top of each breast, we'll place 2 medallions of our compound butter and then seal. My vacuum sealer has a setting for sous vide, so that's what I used here, but a standard setting will work just fine. Remember to always check your seals after you're done, unless the idea of having waterlogged chicken for dinner makes you do a happy dance. And now, our birds are ready for their bath. So, the best way to get amazing, moist, delicious, succulent, perfect, tender, beautiful, soulful, flavorful, or it's just insanely good chicken, is to cook them sous vide in an immersion circulator. For chicken breasts, we'll set our water bath to a super precise 146.5 degrees Fahrenheit, and our birds are going to swim for about 2 hours, so we'll set a timer and get busy on some other prep work. For our side dish, we're going to do a twist on a dirty rice, a Carolina Hoppin' John dirty risotto that's really elevated. We're going to start in a flat bottom pan over high heat with 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter, and we're just going to stir this until it gets good and foamy. Then we'll add 1/2 cup of diced yellow onions and just sweat them until they're fragrant and translucent. Next, 1/2 cup of diced green peppers, and we just want to soften these a little bit before we add 1/2 cup of sliced fresh okra. We want to let these cook for about 2 minutes, stirring constantly, and then add 1 1/2 cups of arborio rice. We want to make sure that we fully incorporate the rice and get a good toast on it, again stirring constantly. Once the rice is nice and toasty, we'll deglaze with a dry white wine like Sauvignon Blanc, about 1/2 cup. We'll let this cook, stirring constantly until the aroma of alcohol is dissipated, and then we'll add 1/2 cup of black-eyed peas. Give these a quick stir, and then we'll start adding 5 1/2 cups of roasted chicken stock that we've kept simmering in a secure secret location. We'll add this 2 or 3 ladles full at a time. Stir until it's fully incorporated and then repeat the process. Risotto is all about slowly incorporating your warm stock and stirring. So much stirring. Stir, stir, stir. Just keep stirring. Once you've got all of your stock stirred in, we'll add half a cup of shredded pepper jack cheese and stir until it's nicely thickened. Season to taste, stir, and reduce until it's at a thickness that you like. We'll set this aside until it's time to plate. For a really impressive garnish, we're going to make a cornbread tuile. In a small bowl, we'll combine half a cup of cornmeal and 7 ounces of scalding hot water, then we'll stir until homogeneous. Add a 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt. In a thick, flat bottom pan, we want to heat up a 1/4 cup of olive oil until it just starts smoking, and then spoon our batter in, about a tablespoon at a time. We'll wait until it browns around the edges, like a pancake, then with a comically large spatula, we'll carefully free the tuile from the bottom of the pan and flip until it's cooked on both sides. Fish your tuile out carefully from the pan and let it cool on a wire cooling rack. Repeat as many times as you need for a simple, flashy garnish. One of the tricks we're going to use to make a really amazing and great textured pan sauce is to add a packet of unflavored gelatin to 2 cups More Than Gourmet roasted chicken stock. And we'll need to let this hydrate for about 10 minutes before using. Now we need a pan we can get super hot and we can really scrape the bottom of without doing any damage. So we're going to use about a 1/4 cup of olive oil in a cold pan and add in those chicken pieces that we saved from earlier. I know it's weird to start in a cold pan. In fact, it goes against everything that I've ever been taught, but it will render out more fat of the chicken and produce much more sticky little bits on the bottom of our pan, aka fond. So once they brown on one side, we'll flip them, move this whole pan into a 400-degree oven for about 15 minutes. When that comes out of the oven, we'll pull the chicken pieces out and use them for an appetizer or for family meal. And what we're left with is this, all the fondy goodness your heart could ever want. Discard the excess fat and add 1 shallot finely minced over medium heat. Stir and sweat the shallot until it's super fragrant and translucent, and then we'll deglaze the pan with half a cup of yummy, yummy bourbon. I use Maker's Mark, but any old bourbon will do. We'll add 2 cups of our roasted chicken stock with the gelatin in it and then start scraping. We'll aggressively reduce this concoction until it evenly coats the back of a spoon. Now we'll add 2 tablespoons of butter that's ice cold and fresh from the fridge. This will help our emulsification hold up. We'll stir, stir, stir until the mixture is thick and glossy, and then we'll transfer this through a chinois into a squeeze bottle for plating. Liquid gold. Now it's time for our star to shine. We're going to empty our sous vide bags and pat the chicken dry with paper towels. As before, we're going to oil the pan and start with our breast skin side down in a cold pan. We'll heat it over medium heat and let the Maillard reaction take its course. Absolutely do not touch the chicken before it's reached its fullest, crispiest potential. The wait is worth it, I promise. Once it releases from the pan, it's ready to plate. It's finally coming together. First, we're going to take our beautiful plate and lovingly place our risotto in a ring mold slightly off center. Gently remove the ring mold. We'll place our chicken breast shingled off of the risotto towards the middle of the plate. Gently place the cornbread tuile behind the chicken breast and surround it with a couple circles of our pan sauce. We're going to garnish with about 2 tablespoons of fresh sweet corn and whole freshly cut parsley leaves. A little bit more pan sauce, and there you have it. A perfect Instagram-worthy plate. This plate was just as much of a joy to eat as it was to prepare. The risotto was complex, spicy, and delicious. The chicken was tender and crispy at the same time, and the pan sauce was so craveable and tasty that I could have stuck a straw in it. The sweet corn was the perfect foil to the richness of the rest of the dish, and I don't know that I would have changed anything about it. So special thanks go out to my parents, who not only made me the person that I am today, but also helped to make this video. My dear old dad was the lighting guru, and he made everything look amazing. I don't know if you can tell. And my poor sweet mother spent a 40-hour work week making sure that this video was exactly right. Thanks, Mom and Dad. I could not have done this without you. You are the wind beneath my wings. Thank you so much for making me a part of the Plate at Home competition, and good luck to all my fellow competitors. And most of all, thank you to my family, my lovely wife and my beautiful children, who help make plating at home every day enjoyable.